Good evening. You are listening to the Fumblerooski Podcast by Power 88 Dean Radio. I am your host, Adam Wright, along with Justin Tucker. So summer is starting to heat up, and the NFL, the football coverage, everything that's happening in football is starting to slow down a little bit, but that is not going to stop us this summer, will it, Justin?
No, it will not.
It will not. Now, so lucky for us, we still have some stuff to cover, and we are going to find plenty of ways we already have some things planned to give you guys, to hold you guys over until the NFL season starts. But we do have some stuff to cover. Last week, just after our last episode 23 was recorded, the day after, the season schedules for teams came out, and we're going to share our thoughts on that this episode. Going into our first talking point. So Justin, what is one game that you are looking forward to the most for this season?
Oh Lord, there's so many games I'm looking forward to this season, but for me, the absolute number one game I'm looking forward to this season as a fan, I'm looking forward to are Ravens and Chiefs. That game has to be on primetime, and it is Sunday Night Football, 8:20. I know you and me are going to be watching it together. I'm going to be watching my Ravens, hopefully prevailing over the AFC champion Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah, you really can't wait to get your ass kicked, can you?
First off, we're not going to. We're actually going to get the dub this time, because I think if we can get past them, we can start off 9-0. I really do think. But that's a huge if. They're a very good team.
Then you'll turn off your Xbox and go to bed. Or you'll wake up from your dream. That's a couple ways your team could beat the Chiefs. But that just to name a few.
Or they can play for 60 minutes on Sunday and actually get the job done like they always do, except against this team. They're the only ones that they struggle against. The only ones that I'm like, okay, this isn't guaranteed. This one is a legitimate struggle, and it can go their way at any point in time because of their quarterback, Patrick Mahomes, and their head coach, Andy Reid. So hopefully John Harbaugh doesn't get outcoached by Andy Reid again. Lamar Jackson can throw to his weapon in Rashad Bateman. Greg Roman doesn't force wide receivers in the same spots. And we actually have some smart play calling. If we can do all that, we can prevail because we have the talent to. But yeah.
Just remind me for a second, how many points did they score in the divisional round against, was it the Chiefs? Because they don't struggle against anyone else, right? They don't struggle against the Buffalo Bills. How many points did they score against them? About 3 points. Oh, that's interesting.
But
they didn't struggle. They didn't struggle in that game, did they?
Are we also
they scored those 3 points in style.
Actually plays the way he usually does. We actually put up 9 and are actually in that game. We should have won that game if we're actually being fair about it. But that's neither here or there. They came in there, they won. That's neither here or there. Did the Patriots even make the postseason? But I don't bring up stuff like that, do I?
Yeah, but we were taking a break. It was a year off. It's exhausting making the playoffs almost every year for a 20-year span. It's tough. I wouldn't expect you to understand.
Yeah, no, it's tough losing in the Super Bowl to a backup quarterback. It's a shame.
Winning all those Super Bowl wins, all those rings, and making it to all those Super Bowls, 9 Super Bowl appearances.
All those fumbles, all those incompletions. Yeah, I get it. I understand.
Yeah. At least we fumble at the biggest stage and actually make it there, right? That'd be nice.
At least we can get there. You guys, it doesn't even look like you guys can get there right now.
Where? Playoffs or Super Bowl? I'm confused. What's our goal?
It doesn't matter. Either one. I'll even lower it to playoffs. I don't think you guys will make the. Actually, I do think that, but you guys will get bounced in the first round. No harm, no foul. But anyway.
Anyways, it's my turn. So my pick for this season, and it's not even close. There's nothing that comes close to this one game in week 4 where I'm going to take my pants off in the middle of my football party
Get
just go off watching this game. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers travel to New England to face the New England Patriots. Tom Brady goes back home and he visits his mother, Bill Belichick, coming right off of that divorce. It is going to be a showdown. This is a game that we've been anticipating ever since Tom Brady left and went to New England. Left and went to Tampa Bay. See, this is going to be, for Buccaneers fans and Patriots fans, Tom Brady fans alike, this is going to be a big game. Think about it this way. This is the way we think about the Brady-Belichick divorce. All right? We all look at it as a divorce, right? There's mom over in New England, Bill Belichick. There's dad who left to go to Tampa to live with his new wife, who would happen to be who's the head coach? Isn't that Bruce Arians? Yeah. Now, the fans, the way I see it is the fans are like the children. All right. Mm-hmm. There's some fans who think mom is in the right and want to go live with mom in New England. And there are fans who think dad is right and are going over to dad in Tampa Bay with Tom Brady. And then there's the fans who love both mom and dad and still love them both. So for me personally, I'm as big a Tom Brady fan as there is, but I'm also as big a Patriots fan as there is. So I really can't. But I think the Patriots take priority because we don't root for players over full teams. But regardless, this is going to be a great game. I'm going to love to see Tom Brady go back in there and show Bill Belichick who's boss, and I'm going to love to see Bill Belichick come in with a reloaded Tampa Bay. With a reloaded Patriots team, and it's going to be a showdown. And this is I'm going to have so many people over my dorm to go watch this game. And to see these two go at each other. The storylines they're all over the place. It's going to be amazing.
What did you tell me the score was going to be?
I forgot.
You told me it was going to be 69-69.
It's possible. It's quite possible. If it does, then it's a sign from the gods, wouldn't you think?
Yes, but I do not believe the Patriots are good enough to put up 69 points. That doesn't even sound plausible.
Hey, don't sleep on Mac Jones. Apparently, he's having a great rookie minicamp right now.
Oh, we'll get to Mac Jones in his minicamp later. But
we will.
Best believe we already know who's the starting quarterback for that team is right now. Superman is in the building. Cam Jarrell Newton is your quarterback. You're just going to have to accept it for this season.
You never know. Next thing you know, Bill Belichick's falling in love with Mac Jones. Mac Jones becomes the starter. Next thing you know, you got another 20-year dynasty.
Remember
I'm telling you, this was just a year off. That 7 and 9 year. You got to take a break every now and then. You can't always have 20-year dynasties. They can't go like a half century.
Oh, stop. Remember the last time you fell in love with a quarterback? His name was Jarrett Stidham. Called him Stid.
I didn't fall in love with him. It's like dating. Like you go out on a date with somebody, you think, oh, I'm intrigued. You think, oh, she's cute. And then it turns out, well, never mind. And it just doesn't work out. So it's Jarrett Stidham. He didn't even make it out of training camp and couldn't even beat out a aged and washed up Cam Newton. So you know what? Good. All right, that's fine. That's fine.
Final score for me, I think of that game, 35-21, Tampa Bay. I think that's a fair score.
Probably. I think Tampa deserves to be favored in that game. But I think it'll be a lot closer. I don't have a score prediction because it's so far away, and there could be some injuries that happen from now and then. Between now and then, there could be, but I'm going to give a score prediction anyways right off the bat. I wasn't expecting to do this, but let's go with, let's say 28-24. It'll be a close game. I don't think any team pulls away. Maybe one team pulls away from the other, and it'll probably be the Buccaneers. And then the Patriots make a run and they make it interesting. But I think Bill Belichick's defense is going to find, especially with that retooled defense, they're going to find a way to stay in this game. Bill Belichick knows his quarterback, his ex-husband, Tom Brady. And he's going to, I'm still getting used to this analogy that I've created, but yeah. They're gonna keep it interesting. Those two know each other very well, and they're gonna keep things interesting. Bill Belichick restocked his roster this offseason, and he has a new quarterback, a new person that he is dating, and we're going to see how that winds up going. And it's gonna be glorious to see those two go at each other. I think it's gonna be a good game.
You're usually right when it comes to predictions, like saying the Bucs were going to win the Super Bowl. I'll give you credit. You're good at these.
The shell has spoken. I'm telling you, it's going to be a great game. The whole Fumblerooski game's going to come. Brian will probably be out that night. But anyways, going a little bit more in depth to this schedule, to these schedules that were released, we're going to go into who we think has the toughest schedules and what teams have the easiest schedules. Kind of what teams have been graced with a good schedule and what teams have been kind of porked. So Justin, take your pick to who has. We'll start with the toughest schedule. Who do you think is going to have the toughest? Who do you think has the toughest schedule this season? Name a team.
Just off the top of my head, the Ravens have a pretty tough schedule. The Steelers have a pretty schedule. As I said, we got the Steelers twice a year. We got the Browns twice a year. Cincinnati. We got the Chiefs. We got the Packers. So just based off that, we got like 5 or 6 games where like, okay, there's some competition here. And then we got Miami, a fringe playoff team who's looking to make a giant leap this year into the playoffs. Minnesota's looking to have a bounce back. Not against us, of course. They know better. But they're trying to make the playoffs as well with Kirk Cousins as the quarterback.
That's not going to do much. I like their roster. I don't like Kirk Cousins.
I think he's fine if you give him the roster he needs. I really do believe that. But,
well, of course, a lot of average quarterbacks or average to barely above average quarterbacks can do that. But what it comes down to is whether or not they can do more with less, or take a very good roster and elevate their roster. But Kirk Cousins, the story of Kirk Cousins has always been underachieving.
I think he can elevate it to, like, say if like the talent is like ground floor, I think he can get it to the first floor. I'm not saying he can get it to the roof, but I think first floor is fine.
Well, I'm arguing with the wrong points here. The Baltimore does apparently the hardest schedule, one of the hardest schedules, and it's going to be interesting to see how they appear to be a playoff team to me. They address some needs in free agency and over the during the draft. Of course, they added a new wide receiver, and I believe they brought in Sammy Watkins. So they did try to make an attempt at restocking that team. They traded away Orlando Brown, so we'll see how that offensive line holds up. But that team should be a playoff team, but you wonder how their schedule is going to affect that. If they'll be one of those teams who's kind of in the middle class, just barely making it in and trying to make some noise from there. So my pick is actually the Chicago Bears. So this is a team where you look at them and you looked at the roster going into the offseason, and you said this team is one quarterback away from being a Super Bowl contender, potential. And so they get their guy. they traded up from number 20 up to number 11 to select Justin Fields.
Yes.
And so this is a team that has the defense, a very elite defense. They have a good running back. They addressed their offensive line during the draft and in free agency. And they have the targets. They have a few solid wide receivers. The number one being Allen Robinson. They have Darnell Mooney, another good wide receiver. They have Anthony Miller, who's a very solid wide receiver. And they still, I believe do they still have Jimmy Graham? They still have Jimmy Graham, right?
Yeah, and they have another tight end in Cole Kmet that they took last year in the draft. Right.
So they have that roster is stocked to the brim. Maybe their offensive line is a little could use a little more work, but the fact of the matter is they're first right out of the gates. Week 1, they face the LA Rams. That's going to be no walk in the park. Then week 3, they have the Browns, who are going to be a tough opponent. Then after that, they have a couple nice games with the Lions. The Raiders could be a little bit of a tough out, possibly. That team did finish below 500, but we forget the hot start that they went off to. Then the Packers, the Buccaneers, the 49ers is a team that could be improved. The Steelers are a tough out. Your Baltimore Ravens, the Arizona Cardinals, the Packers again, of course, the Vikings that we mentioned. Obviously the Packers twice because they're in the same division. This is and the Seahawks and the Giants, who are also supposed to be better. So we talk about this team being a potential Super Bowl contender. If they had an easier schedule, they might have a win or two more. And two games in the NFL is huge.
Okay.
So this is going to be interesting to see.
I agree. I think they're losing to us as always. I mean, Chicago's not beating us. Openly. But as far as the line concerns, they did address it by drafting Tevin Jenkins in the second round, which was a steal because he was a first-round talent that somehow made it to the second round. I wish the Ravens would have took him, but we only have so many picks. We only had 2. If we had 3, oh yes, we're getting him. But I congratulate the Chicago Bears on getting a quarterback. They needed to because Mitchell Trubisky.
Well, now he has to pan out, doesn't he?
Yeah. I believe he's the second best quarterback in the draft. I personally believe that. And I believe over time, if you give him the requisite pieces around him, he'll show you why he should have been drafted number 2 overall instead of Zach Wilson.
I sure hope you're right.
I sure hope so, too, because I'm putting myself out there.
I do. I see that, yeah.
Allen Robinson will be a pretty good wide receiver. If Allen Robinson's your number 1 and Darnell Mooney is your number 2, you're doing pretty good in the wide receiver core. Their defense is stout as always. I could see them being a divisional round exit. I'd say 10-7, 11-6.
That's still good. It's an improvement off last year.
Yeah. I'm still trying to get used to this whole like NFL record thing. I'm still used to a 16-game playoff thing.
I am too. That is another thing that that I was looking at when they were releasing the schedule, is that it's so weird looking at a 17-game schedule and saying, oh, they're going to go 10-7, they're going to go 9-8, they're going to go, if you go win 16 games, that's not quite as historic anymore. You still lose one game. So that's just so 16-1.
If you won 14 games, you lost 3.
Which isn't as nearly as impressive.
Mm-hmm.
It just I'm not a huge it's just not going to look right for the first few seasons.
Right. If you go like 17-0, you could finish like 20-0. That's the only good thing about this. The only good thing about this record.
I mean, I guess there's no 500 teams. It's either you're good or you suck.
Yeah.
It's either we had a winning record, or it's 8-9 we blow.
Or you could
rather
be
than 8-8.
and 1. 8 and 1.
Yeah. Well, yeah, of course ties exist, but yeah. So moving on, we went on to we just discussed the teams with the toughest schedules. Now we're going to go on to the easiest schedule. So Justin, who's your pick for who was graced with a very very nice schedule?
Well, as I was looking through the schedules and looking up and down to see, okay, they got this. Okay, I can see some wins here. I got to Philly, and like the combined total winning percentages of all the teams they went up against was like 43%. I was like, they can actually win. They actually might win the division, because I think they're like 32 in the league in like combined winning percentages for like their schedule. So, God willing, if they can stay healthy, they can win the division just based off their week schedule, like the week schedule they have. I believe they can win 12 games, but lose 5 games because 17 games. But yeah, pretty good. I think they can win 12 games easily this year if they can stay healthy.
That's a pretty good pick. Now my pick I have is the Miami Dolphins. So the Dolphins, that is a team. Their schedule combined, their win percentage last year was .471, and this is a team that is right on the edge of. They were already competitive last year. Now they're looking to get themselves over the hump and be a Super Bowl contender. And if they want to do that, if they're gonna make that jump from with talent, if they're gonna improve, this is the schedule to do it. Now out of the gates, they have a tough matchup. They have a couple tough matchups out of the gates. The New England Patriots, that is a improved roster. That is going to be a tough out. And then week 2 following, it's going to be even worse with the Buffalo Bills, who won 13 games last year.
Mm-hmm.
They also have the Colts, the Buccaneers, obviously the Bills again, the Ravens. But besides that, there's also the Giants. Besides that, they get the Jets twice, of course. They get the Texans. They get the Falcons, the Jaguars. They have Las Vegas. They have the Panthers. This is a schedule where there's going to be some games where it's going to be tough to pull out some wins, but they have the schedule. The schedule is there for them to be able to win, to beat the teams that they should beat, and they should be able to stack up against these teams that are tough to beat. I think the Colts. That's a team that they could pull out a victory against. Maybe they pull out one against the Bills. They might get one against the Patriots, 1 or 2. There's the Titans, who have lost almost their entire offense, if we remember, during free agency. They lost Jonnu Smith. They lost Corey Davis. All that they have left, really, on for pass catchers for Ryan Tannehill right now is A.J. Brown. And A.J. Brown, amazing wide receiver, but you need more than just one target to be a good team. And I don't think Ryan Tannehill is good enough to elevate a roster of a bunch of bums. I just don't think so.
Henry, it helps.
It sure helps, but they're not going to be the same team as they were last year. I see that team regressing, and I think that's a team that the Dolphins can beat. And I forgot the Saints. The Saints lost their quarterback, and they have a decent roster around them, but that team is going to regress a lot. I see 7-10. Let's say 7-10 for this Saints team. And the Dolphins could probably pull out this. I could see 11. I could see 11 or 12 wins for the Dolphins possibly. 12 being the absolute best case scenario. 11, like 12 would be like everything goes right, and they turn out to be a Super Bowl contender as they want to be. 11 being if they beat the teams that they should beat, and they pull out some victories. and probably 10 is the expectation, I would say.
You don't think the Saints will pull out some W's with Jameis Winston as their quarterback? You know how he eats W's?
I'm yet to see him eat W's. I'll see it when I'll believe it when I see it.
Well, when you have the weapons like they do, like Alvin Kamara, Michael Thomas, and Jared Cook, I could see them. I could see him getting like 9, 10, possibly 11 if he, can actually not throw interceptions. If he can lower the interceptions, yeah, they're a playoff team.
Possibly. I mean, that's easier said than done, and he may not even be their quarterback. What if they go with Taysom Hill again?
4 years, $140 million as a contract.
And I'm not in love with their roster either. I feel like that defense is kind of starting to age a little bit. I feel like that offense, past Michael Thomas, doesn't really have much. They lost Emmanuel Sanders.
Yeah, to the Bills, who just got better.
Yeah, exactly. So all I'm trying to say is, I mean, I don't love that. Even if Drew Brees decided not to retire, or they were able to replace him with a good quarterback, I still don't love this roster. Even with Drew Brees, they weren't able to get past. And they kind of barely, like low-key barely got past the Chicago Bears. Mm-hmm. Just saying. So I didn't love that roster before, and I absolutely don't like it now. Just saying.
That's fair.
All right. Now, going on to our final talking point, there is some side news going on. I mean, I wouldn't say side news, but it's still there. Our team's rookie mini camps have started so far. Now, there's some players who have stuck out to some of us. So, Justin, what are your thoughts on our rookie mini camp going so far?
Personally, I like it. I love my Ravens mini camp as always, because we always seem to figure out a way to find talent. I like what's going on with Brandon Stevens. I love Rashad Bateman right now because, I like a wide receiver that can catch passes and run good routes. Tylan Wallace is coming along just fine. Sean Wade is Sean Wade, first-round talent, but still has a lot of work to do. And Ben Cleveland is massive, a giant human being. So, yeah. The O-line is set. The wide receiver room is set. My DB room is set. All around, I think we're going to be a pretty solid team with all the rookies we have. This could be a very memorable draft class if all things go well.
It's possible.
It's possible. It's very possible.
Maybe. I'm still not sold on that team, especially the wide receiver core. Depends on how Rashad Bateman will look. But
I'd rather have Rashad Bateman than Kadarius Toney right now.
Me too. But that's a no-brainer, wouldn't you think?
Apparently not if you're the Giants. Apparently not.
I would have if I was the Ravens, I would have just taken both of those first-round picks, traded up to say package them in with another first round, maybe another second-round pick, traded up to maybe 11 or maybe 10. And go out and draft Devontae Smith.
We're not built like that. We usually just accumulate picks and talent in the back half of the draft and just jumping up unless it's something like it's not in our history to just jump all the way up to like top 10 because we're usually picking in the later half anyway. So we either fall out of it or we just take a guy.
Maybe a change would be nice.
Maybe.
All right. Now, my pick, and I'm going to stick with my New England Patriots, is going to be Mac Jones. Now, there's been a lot of – now, this is a pick that now in the direct aftermath of the NFL draft, I was a little iffy on. I was just hoping that they would trade up to get Justin Fields, and I was hoping that – I mean, I'm glad they took a quarterback, but I was a little iffy on this pick. But from what I'm hearing on reports from training camp, he's pretty good, and he's drawing apparently, and I quote, coaches have been blown away from his performance so far during minicamp. Now it is just minicamp, but it is nice to hear that this guy is actually impressing the Patriots coaching staff. I just hope Bill Belichick is impressed as well. I as much as this saying has been dented a little bit from Tom Brady with what he's doing in Tampa Bay, I still believe a little bit in Bill we trust. And if Bill is impressed with Mac Jones, then I like Mac Jones. And if this guy winds up working out with the revamped roster that Bill Belichick has put together this offseason, I really do believe this team could be a scary and interesting team to look at for next season. So it really does stick out to me that that Mac Jones has been impressing, has been turning some heads this minicamp so far.
So what you're telling me is you're turning the corner with Mac Jones. You're telling me he might be our franchise guy.
I'm saying if my eyebrows have been raised, I'm saying okay, let's see. That's cool. Let's see him during OTAs. Let's see him during the actual training camp. Let's see him during preseason. I'd love to see him during preseason in actual action. That's going to be fun.
Yeah.
But we'll see. But this is good. This is good. I'm still iffy because he looks like melted ice cream under that shirt that he wears. We've all seen that shirtless pic of him with a cigar in his mouth. It's not exactly pretty. If you're looking for a shirtless model, Mac Jones is not your guy.
Cam Newton is actually that guy.
He really is. That guy does look great. Even being a little washed up, still can't throw the football to save his damn life. But
Superman will come to the rescue. He will be your quarterback, and he will get you to the playoffs.
I sure hope so. I just want to make the playoffs. I want to win a couple Super Bowls, have a 20-year dynasty. Is that too much to ask for?
A 20-year dynasty? Yes, it is too much to ask for.
No, it's not. I got it from Brady. We can do it again.
I keep telling you, he'll throw. I believe if everything goes well, but that's a huge if. He'll throw 25 touchdown passes, and we have a bet on that for $5 that he'll throw 25 touchdown passes. Now, well, that remains to be seen. I was hoping you would just say 25 combined touchdowns because I was hoping you would forget about his running ability. But no, you had to say passing.
Yep, I said passing. And I'm about to be $5 richer. He may not even throw a single one. It might be Mac Jones starting the entire season. Or they'll go with Stidham or Brian Hoyer.
He won't go with Hoyer. Stop it. He's just backup insurance.
Isn't that interesting how they have 4 quarterbacks on the roster now? They don't believe in Stidham that much that not only did they bring up a washed up Cam Newton last offseason, but this offseason they bring in Brian Hoyer, who's not even washed up. But even when he wasn't washed up, he wasn't anything special then either. And they drafted in the first round quarterback Mac Jones. And I'm sure there's a practice squad quarterback on that roster who's kicking around somewhere too. So big L from Jarrett Stidham. I really wish him the best. I did hold out hope for him, but it's not looking good. Even when he was coming in this offseason during the season, when he came in relief of Cam Newton every now and then, or Brian Hoyer, it always looked ugly. So, it's just too bad that he didn't pan out.
I really do feel unfortunate for him. But then I saw that Kansas City game. I was like, oh, this is the guy you guys have been hyping up. Like, wait until Stidham gets in the game. I was like, he ain't doing much against that Kansas City cheap defense. I was like, should draft a quarterback now. Mac Jones is your possible savior now. He
could be. From what we're hearing, we never heard anything like this about Jarrett Stidham. We never did.
Belichick said he likes Stidham.
What's that? He said he liked him, but we didn't hear anything about his performance. They just said, "Oh," and people were raving about the fact that he was that he gave him a nickname. He called him Stid. Everyone's like, "Oh, they called him Stid. Belichick must like him." And then he goes out and he signs Cam Newton for like a veteran's minimum.
Yeah.
Just give me keep your pants on when it comes to Jarrett Stidham. And I mean, my pants are still on for Mac Jones. We'll see. This is like, it's like dating. You look at what we think about him. You go out a couple times, you see what he's like. If it turns out he's a bust, then it's the door. You toss him aside.
You say you're not taking your pants off for Mac Jones, but are you at least unbuckling them? Or are you unbuckling your belt for Mac Jones?
This is an uncomfortable analogy. I'm readjusting my pants right now.
Okay, that's fine.
Like readjusting, seeing like, okay. I'm looking. I'm like, this is we need to go away from this analogy, like right now. It's a little. This could get way too in detail, but you get my point. I'm still holding my breath for him. I'm encouraged. I'm intrigued. But I'm still a little skeptical about Mac Jones.
Yeah, that's fine, because Superman is here to save the day. I keep telling you, Superman will be your savior, but you're like, no, he's a bum.
I still think he's a bum.
He's not a bum. You guys just finally gave him some weapons to work with. That's all.
I mean, you can surround him with whatever weapons you can, but what good is having all these weapons if he's just going to throw them at their ankles?
What's the point of having all these weapons when some of them can't catch? What happened last year with Cam? I keep telling you, give him some weapons. He actually might do a little something. Then y'all gave him some weapons. Let's see what he's got.
We might not find out what he's got, and we might find out what Mac Jones has. Just saying.
Yeah, it's a possibility. I don't think they want to ruin their new toy immediately, so I think they'll wait until like year 2, hopefully. Now, if he shows up and plays good, then yeah, start him immediately over Cam.
Maybe. Possibly. I think, it could be something like what happened with Dak Prescott, where he's a rookie. The starter gets hurt. He comes in. He starts the rest of the season. They go 13-3. They make the playoffs. They're looking good. We're not going to talk about what happens afterwards because we can't forget the fact that Bill Belichick isn't Jason Garrett. So yeah, we'll see how this goes. I'm intrigued. This is going to be an interesting season, and I'm glad we got to see the schedule come out. We got to see the rookie minicamp. And this is going to be interesting to see all of this unfold when this summer ends. But like I said, we're going to hold you guys over with plenty of content where we have some stuff that we're planning out for upcoming episodes. So stay tuned. Keep tuning in to us on a weekly basis. But other than that, that'll do it for us tonight. Thank you for listening to us. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. Check us out on Spotify and Google Play. Also, be sure to follow our Instagram at Fumblerooski_podcast to keep up with our podcast and the latest coverage on the NFL. Otherwise, we will see you next week. Over and out.